Sometimes a person waits for just one sign, maybe a dream, maybe a word, maybe a sentence, or maybe just a glance. Yet deep down, they know that what they are truly waiting for isn't from any human being, it is from Allah. Because within the depths of the heart lies a void that no smile can fill, no human voice can soothe, no worldly success can satisfy. And this emptiness is called the awaited divine touch. For no matter how much a person forgets, Allah never does. Sometimes a person grows weary while praying. It may not tire the tongue to repeat the same words over and over, but it certainly burdens the soul. Because the pain of waiting weighs heavier than speaking. Even when silence falls, the heart continues to pray quietly. But as the voice fades, hope seems to dwindle as well. It feels as if Allah no longer hears, as if the prayers ascend to the heavens only to return unanswered. And it is precisely at this moment that a person's connection with Allah is tested. For if an answer to a prayer is delayed, it does not mean that Allah is distant, but rather that the servant's patience has yet to ripen. Time flows, calendar pages fall away, years pass, yet sometimes a prayer still seems unanswered. And the person asks themselves, when will I be heard? When will my prayers be accepted? Why does no one else's test last as long as mine? These questions settle like silent doubts gnawing at the heart and mind. But Allah never ceases to speak to His servants. Only the way He communicates changes. Sometimes Allah speaks through silence, sometimes through delay, sometimes by postponing what seems good to reveal what is truly better. And that silence is, in itself, a response. I am preparing for you. I am nurturing what I will give you. I am strengthening your heart. I am transforming your weakness with divine patience. A person may think the answer to their prayer must come immediately, but Allah does not accept prayers solely for their results. Allah values the turning towards Him, the sincerity, the tears, and the patience shown while praying. Sometimes Allah delays not to reject your prayer, but to make you into one who prays. Sometimes Allah desires not a result from you, but your devotion. And that devotion is the deepest bond between the servant and their Lord. Your heart may be broken, your hopes scattered, your eyes longing, and your words spent. But know this, Allah never lets a single tear fall in vain. People may forget you, abandon you, make you wait, leave your prayers unanswered. But Allah never forsakes, for He hears even the sighs of your heart. He knows the whisper within you saying, enough, I cannot bear this anymore. And sometimes, before you even pray, Allah brings ease to you, because Allah hears not only your voice, but also your intention. Yet this is where our greatest mistake begins. We treat Allah like a human, as if we must receive an immediate answer to our prayers. But Allah gives everything at the right time. Not a second earlier, not a second later. And if your prayer remains unanswered, it does not mean Allah is deaf to you, but perhaps that what you ask for is not good for you at that moment. For sometimes Allah delays a servant for their ultimate salvation. Just be patient, because patience is not merely waiting, it is waiting with trust in Allah. If your patience contains rebellion, it is not patience but resentment. But if your patience contains surrender, then Allah rewards that patience so greatly that you will be thankful not only for the outcome, but even for the process itself. This is why those who wait are the closest servants to Allah. Because while waiting, they continuously pray. They continuously plead. They continually turn their hearts toward Him. And Allah never turns away anyone who sincerely turns to Him. If there is a flutter in your heart, a tear in your eye, a lingering sadness within you, that is the sign that Allah has heard you. For even that sorrow is sometimes a divine touch. Sometimes a door closes, news never comes, a matter does not progress, a word remains unfinished. You do not see this brokenness as good because people tend to focus only on the outcome. But Allah cares about the process. Allah watches how you wait, how you endure, how you surrender. And perhaps while you pray for that door to open, Allah is giving you a heart that no longer needs that door. Sometimes a person feels alone. But there is a subtle difference between being alone and being specially chosen by Allah. Sometimes Allah separates you from people because He wants to bring you closer to Himself, not to them. The love you cannot find from others, the love you seek but do not receive, perhaps it is a space reserved only for Allah.
O weary heart,
and
do
only
not forget,
Allah can fill that
Allah
emptiness,
never
not
does
people.
anything
Anything without a reason. If He has broken you this way, it means He will mend you in a more beautiful way. If He has made you wait like this, it means He will give you something better at a better time. And if He has silenced you this way, perhaps He is writing a destiny that will speak on your behalf. Just keep trusting. If your voice trembles when you pray, let it tremble. If your tears fall, let them flow. But never lose hope in Allah. Because hoping is a prayer. Waiting is an act of worship. Trusting is a prostration. And every prostration is an elevation. Allah sometimes speaks through an event, sometimes through a person, sometimes completely through silence. But in every case, He speaks. What matters is that you have a heart capable of hearing Him, because Allah sends signs. But only those with a living heart can see those signs. If your prayers seem unanswered, turn inward and ask yourself, am I only seeking an answer, or am I seeking my Lord? And so,
A
because
person's
Allah
heart
tests
is
His
sometimes
servant's heart
like a
not only
broken,
with blessings but
crumbling
also with
house.
longing.
Inside,
And if
things
that longing
have
draws you
collapsed,
closer to
fallen
your Lord,
apart, and
then
darkness
the answer
reigns.
has already come.
But if a lantern is lit within that house, everything can be rebuilt. That lantern is the trust in Allah. Once that trust is kindled, it illuminates the soul, clears the path, and even raises fallen walls. Because trusting in Allah is not just about waiting for the outcome. Trusting in Allah is to be patient, even without knowing the result, even when you see delay. O weary-hearted brother or sister, perhaps you are walking through your darkest night right now. Maybe you prayed, fell silent, waited, and wept. But know this, Allah never lets any darkness last forever. For He is the one who ends every night with dawn. And every morning is reborn by His command, be. The nights in your life are waiting for morning. And that morning is not only the arrival of an answer, it is Allah telling you, I am here. Sometimes a person does not just want an answer, they want to be felt, they want to be understood. And Allah is not only the one who hears His servant, but also the one who feels, understands, and judges on their behalf. People may not hear your silent cries, but Allah does, because He hears even what your heart speaks, not just the tears that fall from your eyes, but even the sobs caught in your throat before they fall reach Allah. And never forget, what Allah gives you is not always what you want, but what you truly need. Sometimes you do not even know what you want, but He knows. Sometimes you say, this will do me good, but you don't realize that thing might take you away from yourself. And sometimes what you ask, why didn't it happen, is actually your greatest protection. Because Allah protects you not only at the moment you pray, but always. He even plans for what is not with you. At times, hardships are Allah's way of preparing you for something better. This is not easy to understand, because people tend to think they are loved through blessings. But sometimes Allah tests those He loves most through difficulties. For hardships reveal the true faith within. Just as the wind best reveals the strength of a tree, calamity reveals the faith of a servant. And if during those days of trial your heart still remembers Allah, that is when you are closest to Him. People often hear the word trust in Allah, but living it fully is hard, because trust is not simply saying, I leave it to Allah. Trust means being able to say, "My Lord is sufficient for me," even when your heart is breaking. It is walking the path with patience and reliance on Allah. That path is sometimes steep, sometimes thorny, sometimes silent. But it always leads to Allah. And that end is not really an end, but a beginning. Sometimes Allah brings you to a place where no one remains around you. No friends, no siblings, no hope. It feels as if everyone has scattered and everything has gone silent. That is where Allah wants to be alone with you. Because praying among crowds is one thing, but saying, "Oh Allah," in solitude is something else entirely. A prayer made in solitude is free of lies, embellishments, and filters. What your heart is, your tongue becomes. And Allah is quickest to respond to His servant in their purest state. Now perhaps you say, "I don't think I can endure anymore." But know that the last strength to endure comes from Allah. Maybe you feel exhausted, but do not forget, exhaustion can sometimes be the shortest path to drawing nearer to your Lord. For people turn to their Lord most when they are at their lowest. They prostrate most when they have lost the most. They listen most when they have fallen silent the deepest. And Allah speaks most precisely then. The deeper the void a person feels inside, the more they need their bond with Allah. If that bond breaks, the heart decays. But if it is renewed and refreshed, a person is revived anew. Turning to Allah is not just worship, it is a resurrection. It is coming to oneself. It is remembering what is true. Because the world turns, people change, time passes. But Allah is always steady, always there, ready to speak with you, ready to hear your voice. All you need is to decide to turn toward Him. O weary servant, know that sometimes Allah shakes your life to draw you closer to Himself. He scatters everything. He disrupts your plans. He distances the people you trusted because you had leaned on them. But Allah wants you to step out of their shadow because your real support is not them, it is Him. And Allah is jealous. When a servant leans too much on other things, Allah is jealous and draws them away because He wants you to belong only to Him. And this is not punishment but mercy. Allah never abandons His servant, no matter what sin they fall into, no matter what hardship they struggle with. Sometimes, even a simple, "Oh Allah," that passes through your heart is enough. Because Allah wants not much, only a sincere return, a repentance, a heartfelt turn. Perhaps the sentence you whispered quietly on your bed in the night, "Oh Allah, you know best," will bring you back to life, will revive you again. Because before Allah, even intention is precious. Remember, when Allah accepts your prayer, He sees not only your heart but also your future. You only know today, but He knows 10 years from now as well. So sometimes He does not give you what you want because that thing might lead you away from a beautiful future. If Allah delays, He protects. If He does not give, He prepares. If He silences, it is because you are about to begin speaking. And sometimes you win just by waiting. Because trusting Allah is the greatest step to victory. When a prayer is not answered, when a wish is not fulfilled, do not be sad. Perhaps Allah will give you something better. Or maybe the thing you prayed for will happen one day, but in a completely different way. Because Allah accepts prayers not in the way you expect, but in the best way possible. What you think cannot be is often just on the edge of become. It is only waiting for its time. And one day you will say, "I'm so glad I waited. I'm so glad I was patient. I'm so glad I resisted without turning away from Allah. Because now I understand, Allah never forgot me." Sometimes a person asks, "Why me? Why this pain? Why this waiting? Why this loneliness fell upon me?" With a wounded heart, silent tongue, and eyes turned to the heavens, they ask and await an answer. But Allah's answers do not come immediately, for every response from Him is not only to hear the servant's voice, but to teach the servant. That is why sometimes He makes you wait. Sometimes He delays. Sometimes He falls completely silent. But He never forgets. O broken-hearted brother or sister, when Allah tests you with a trial, know that He has chosen you. Because not everyone endures the same pain. He knows who can bear what, and how each prayer rises from each heart. Perhaps within your prostration there was a cry that Allah wanted His angels to hear. Perhaps in your tears there was a surrender that He wanted to write in the heavens. Know this, whatever you experience, it is all within Allah's knowledge, not coincidence nor abandonment. On the contrary, this process is one of rebuilding. Imagine, Allah is rebuilding you, breaking, shedding, cleansing, bending. But in the end, He makes you stronger, purer, and closer to Him. Just like a seed under the soil, buried in darkness, crushed, broken apart. But what happens eventually? It sprouts, it blossoms, a life is born. The hardships you endure are like your Lord burying you in the soil to make you sprout. So do not be sad. You are not preparing for darkness, but for light. And know that Allah hears not only the prayers spoken aloud, but also the sorrow buried deep inside. Maybe you can no longer even pray, because you are tired, because words fail you now. But Allah hears your inner voice too, that sigh before you reach prostration, that heartfelt glance. Those are prayers as well. Where you fall silent, your Lord speaks on your behalf. Because He knows, because He is near, because He is closer to you than you are to yourself. If the weight of life feels heavy, extend your prostration longer, because the moment your forehead touches the ground is the moment you feel the most relief. There is no pride there, not even the question, "Why me?" dissolves. Only the phrase remains, "You exist, my Allah." And every servant who rises with this phrase begins to walk again with Allah's help. So never give up. Never abandon your hope, your prayer, or your faith. Because the place where you give up might be the very place where Allah says be. A person realizes they need Allah most only when everything else falls apart. That is when all the things clouding your heart vanish, and only Allah remains. Then you understand, it is not something lost from you, but excesses taken away. You have been cleansed from the worldly impurities that polluted your heart, so that the true you can emerge. Sometimes, nothing seems to go right in this world. But sometimes, Allah closes certain paths so He can guide you to the right one. Sometimes, everything goes wrong because Allah wants you to look in a different direction. And sometimes you say, "It's all over." But Allah smiles and says, "No, this is just the beginning." Because when you turn to Him, real life begins. Now understand this. Trusting Allah is not just about praying. It is surrendering your inner self to Him, no matter the outcome. Trusting Allah is even shedding your tears like an act of worship. Because not a single drop of tear goes wasted in His presence. No pain is lost before Allah. Every broken heart holds value with Him. So the more broken your heart is, the closer you have come to Allah. Perhaps today you came carrying the burden you have borne for years to these words. Perhaps no one remains to understand you. Perhaps you have begged for a sign for years, saying, "Oh Allah, give me a sign." Know this, these words might be the answer to your prayer. These sentences were written for you. Where they touch your heart, feel Allah saying, "I have heard you." And never forget, everything changes when you turn to Allah. No servant who turns to Him returns empty-handed. No tear falls in vain. No patience is wasted. Now, I want to invite you to something. Choose a prayer from the depths of your heart. Whisper it silently, where no one else can hear, only Allah. This time, don't think about the result. Just be sincere. Then take a deep breath and trust Allah. Let go of that old weariness, because Allah now wants to renew you. He wants to give you peace. All you have to do is turn toward Him. And if these words touched you, if they healed a place in your heart, if they made you feel you are not alone, please write in the comments your hardship, your pain, or simply, "I am here, my Allah."
Maybe your comment will be someone else's hope. Maybe your struggle will help someone else feel they are not alone. Let us heal together. Let us draw closer to Allah together. Also, if you want this message to reach more people, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. With your support, these words will reach other hearts lost in darkness. Every heart turning to Allah lights another heart. Maybe the like you give wipes away someone else's tears. And one last reminder, Allah may delay, but He never forgets. He postpones, but never abandons. He makes you wait, but in the end, gives the most beautiful. You just be patient and keep trusting Him, because Allah is above everything, is inside every heart, and never, ever abandons His servant halfway.